They cornered her in the narrow hallway of the barracks just after dusk. 3 recruits still buzzing with the reckless arrogance of boys who hadn't yet met consequences. The air stood still, thick with the smell of sweat and metal polish, as if the building itself were holding its breath. At the center of the corridor stood Lena Hale, small, quiet, and supposedly defenseless. She didn't move. She didn't flinch. She just raised her eyes, calm, steady, almost sorrowful, and whispered, "Remember who I am." The recruits laughed. 45 seconds later, none of them were laughing. Before I tell you what happened next, tell me in the comments where you're rewatching from. I love knowing who's listening. They had targeted her for weeks. The silent woman who ran laps before sunrise, kept to herself, who never reacted when they mocked her for being older, smaller, slower. What they didn't know was that Lena had mastered the art of invisibility long before she arrived at this base. She had learned it in colder places, in darker rooms, under the watch of men more dangerous than these. She wasn't here to prove anything. She was here to disappear into normal life, or at least the closest thing to normal she could manage. The tallest recruit stepped forward first. His voice echoed off the steel walls, half mocking, half demanding. "What are you even doing here, Grandma? This base isn't for people who break a sweat just tying their boots." The others snickered. It's waiting for her to crack, to cry, to give them the satisfaction of fear. Instead, Lena simply watched him, noticing the nervous twitch at the corner of his mouth. She wondered if he even understood why he felt afraid. Something shifted in the hallway, a tension like the first drop in air pressure before a storm rolls in. Lena felt her heartbeat settle, slowing into the steady rhythm she had trained into it years ago. The rhythm of calculation, of control, survival. She didn't want violence, not anymore. But violence, she'd learned, didn't need permission. It only needed opportunity, and these boys were offering it freely. As the second recruit lunged to snatch her backpack, Lena stepped aside with emotion so fluid it seemed more like instinct than action. He stumbled forward, confused, grabbing at air. The others exchanged glances. Something was wrong. Something was different. They didn't know that she had once disarmed men twice their size in complete darkness. They didn't know that her heartbeat hadn't risen a single beat per minute. They didn't know that she had buried teammates, survived missions no one spoke of, and spent whole winters wishing she were someone else, anyone else. What they knew was only what they saw. A quiet woman who finally exhaled and whispered, almost apologetically, "Don't make me do this." The third recruit scoffed and moved first, a mistake. Lena pivoted, caught his wrist, and redirected the force with such precision that he hit the floor before he even understood he'd been touched. The others froze as his breath left him in a painful gasp. He wasn't injured, not seriously, but he suddenly realized he could have been. The second rushed her, anger flushing red up his neck. She slipped past him with no more effort than stepping around a puddle, a single graceful motion, her elbow tapping his shoulder just hard enough to send him spinning. He hit the wall with a thud that echoed down the corridor. The first recruit, the tall one, hesitated. Saw something the others hadn't. Not aggression, not fury, but restraint. It terrified him more than anything else. Who are you?" he whispered, voice suddenly small. Lena didn't answer right away. She knelt beside the recruit on the floor, checking his breathing, steadying his shoulder, making sure he wasn't injured. Kindness, unexpectedly soft, radiated from her movements. It confused them. I touched something in them they didn't understand, or didn't want to. She stood slowly, meeting their eyes. A long breath, a moment of moral conflict should she tell them, reveal what she had tried so hard to keep buried. In the end, truth felt easier than silence. "I used to be a SEAL," she said quietly. "Team 7. I left because I was tired of hurting people. Please, don't make me remember that version of myself." The hallway fell silent, the weight of her words sinking into the recruits like cold water. Around them, other trainees had gathered, drawn by the noise, but now they simply watched, some shocked, some awed, some with newfound respect shimmering in their eyes. For a moment, the recruits looked like children again, scared, remorseful, suddenly aware of the line they had crossed and just how fortunate they were that she had chosen control over anger. Lena could see their regret. and it softened something inside her that had been rigid for years. "We're sorry," the tallest one murmured, throat thick. "We didn't know. That was the point," she replied gently. "People underestimate quiet, but quiet isn't weakness, it's choice." A murmur rippled through the watching crowd, not mockery this time, but admiration. Someone stepped forward and began to clap, slowly at first, then others joined. A wave of respect washed down the hallway, and Lena felt something she hadn't felt in years: acceptance. Later that evening, the three recruits approached her again without arrogance, without fear, just sincerity. "We want to do better," one of them said. "We want to learn, if you're willing." Lena studied their faces. Breaking people was easy. Helping them rise was the real test. And for the first time in a long while, she chose the harder path. "All right," she said softly. "But this time, you'll remember who you can become. Because kindness doesn't vanish, it waits. It finds its way back." And long after the hallway emptied and the lights dimmed, the echo of her whispered warning lingered like a ghost of the moment that changed them all. "Remember who I am, and who you are meant to be." If this story moved you, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Whispered Words, where every story reminds us that strength and compassion can walk the same path.